Bit of a longer intro than others.
How good was
That was
that?
pretty good.
I'm chuffed. Welcome to Flesh Ivory, Episode 2 production of the Five Fun Film Friends Films podcast, otherwise known, what is actually known as the Calligram Podcast.
That's not what it's known as, though. Let's be real.
It's really the
It's
Fun.
fifth.
Yeah.
Fifth.
We're going to start advertising it as fifth now.
We're here today with the star of which...
What kind of an intro was that?
The star.
Oh my god.
I couldn't get it up. We're here today with the star of Flesh and Ivory, Joel Drabble. Joel, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Yeah.
How was your day?
Day's going good, man.
Someone fucking help me, man. There's four of us at this table.
Okay, I'll do it.
Fuck.
Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. He's a great actor, a friend of ours. This is his first time on the podcast. He might be back later for some more eps, seeing if he actually, if he can survive this one.
Yeah, it's going good so far. So I'll be there.
And his name is Joel Drabble. Joel, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, I'm Joel Drabble.
Yeah.
That's me.
Nice.
I don't know, man.
How long have you been acting?
Maybe I think I started when I was about 16, so 8 years or so now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So should we talk in the first episode?
Yeah.
Jackson and Isaac, you guys both discussed a little bit about how you met Joel, auditioning. We're here to talk about the production process of Attraction, of which we all worked on. You three in much larger capacity to me, so I'm gonna make you guys talk more on
Sounds
this
good.
episode.
Yeah.
And you talked a little bit about rehearsals prior to actually shooting.
Yeah.
But you guys should talk a bit more about what the rehearsal process was like before you actually showed up on set and got there. So
Alright, so heading into production for Flesh and Ivory is my first, I think I've already mentioned this in the previous episode, but it's my first short film that was on this kind of scale that I'd been directing. So I thought I would do myself a favor and be well prepared, So I had a few weeks of rehearsal with the whole cast and mostly Joel, because Joel was in every single scene of Flesh and Ivory. So Joel was having a few rehearsals a week.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks,
Yeah. It was largely to figure out camera blocking for the oneers in the scenes, as we've talked about a lot in our actors and directing episode that's coming out in a few weeks. I won't go into that as much. Yeah, we just wanted to know exactly what we were doing, because we knew that from a technical standpoint, in the scenes where we were using one shot, that would be the biggest hurdle on the day. It's not the most important thing, obviously, but it was something we didn't have a camera operator to rehearse with heading into the shoot. So we wanted to make sure that all of the other factors would be ready, so that when the camera movement on the oneer was perfect and it was the take we wanted, everything else in the take was cleared and good as well. But also something that we talked about it in another episode too, but obviously when you run a scene 1,000,000 times, you can get tired of the scene. So we made an effort to make sure that we didn't run it at full intensity.
I also feel like
rehearsals.
we were sort of progressing and getting to a good stage and sort of stopping before it was perfected, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we'd sort of wait until on set to get it in.
Yeah, to dig the heels in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What was that like? How did you find rehearsing?
Personally, I'm a big fan of rehearsals.
Yeah.
I find that everyone's got their own interpretation and everything, and you've got your vision, the other actors have their vision, I've got my vision of how I think it could go. For me, for my process now, I sort of like to have at least a meeting and discuss it before sort of digging into it and getting too set into how I think it should be, because obviously at the end of the day, it mainly is the director's vision, in my opinion. You're making what you want, so I'd rather go on as a blank canvas, you sort of talk about what you want, and then I go into it, then working from there, if that makes sense. So I'm a big fan of rehearsals and meetings and stuff prior, just to get that idea down in the beginning.
Yep.
Does that answer that question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well. Very well.
Big fan of rehearsals.
Yeah. No, 100. Same as well. Because I was, obviously, we all had stakes in this film being good or not. Knowing that it could fail and knowing that we're all a little bit inexperienced as well. It was, it was rehearsal, but it was also a matter of, okay, we have this concept for a script. We think this is worth putting to the screen. Great. We're all invested in being part of the team. I was lucky from the get-go with that. I had a bunch of talented people who all wanted to help make Attraction and Flesh Ivory a thing. So that was great. But also we knew that we wanted to get it to the concept that we had on the page to a particular standard that us as film students at the time hadn't done yet in our careers.
Joel and Isaac, before you two started doing rehearsal, like with other actors or whatnot, did you two have conversations where you sat down and discussed the script?
We did, yeah. I remember early on, before sort of like the proper rehearsals, you gave us like backstories, and you'd like give us more and more backstories sort of like as we went on, and then any questions you would sort of either give it to us straight away, or you'd like, let me get back to you, and you'd give us more information and all that sort of stuff. And then once we got into the rehearsals, we even did a bit more then as well.
So you had meetings with us, meaning multiple actors, like before you ended up shooting, as a group?
Yeah, we had one big meeting at the beginning.
Gotcha.
And I remember actually, I was quite, obviously as you are, I was quite anxious heading into the directing part of it.
Yeah.
Because initially, I've mentioned this in other episodes, but the original plan for Attraction was, there was a subject in third year that was called feature film writing. And I wanted to take that because I was very passionate about the writing side of things. And so my plan was to get the script to a point where I'm really happy with it and give it to a director that I really trusted and see if he wanted to direct Attraction initially. I don't even know if I've told you this.
No.
I wasn't always going to direct it because there was another subject. And if you take that, you only have to do a minor role on a production film on grad slate, and that subject is very time consuming, so it's recommended that you don't do both.
Yep.
And I had a director in mind, Oliver Crofts, super talented friend of ours, really good director. I made a really fun little short film with him in first year called The Cardboard King that I think we're still quite proud of. The more I talked to Oliver about it, and he heard how invested I was in the story, obviously, because I've been writing it for a year and a half at this point, he kind of just sat me down and he said, look, like, you're an idiot if you're not going to direct this. Because in our discussions, he was like, you have this much personal stake in the story and you're passionate or focused on making it happen. You should be the one to make it happen.
Were you doing that extra subject as well?
I was planning to, and then we had that conversation heading into the pitching part of grad slate, and I decided to switch and hop on as a director midway through that holiday subject. So I'd never directed something on this scale. I'd only directed one short film before this, and it was a very small, quick short. And so I was very anxious, and I actually remember I went to you, Noah, and I said, like, do you have any advice? Because Noah made a short film in second year that I was a big fan of, and I talked to Noah about directing a lot, and so I said, heading into this, because when I finally decided I was going to direct it and take on the workload, it kind of the responsibility hit me very quickly because I knew I only had a couple months to now be the director. I said, do you have any advice for directing and heading into it? And you said, just ask the actors how they want to be directed because you've never directed before also, and just you'll figure it out from there. So right at the beginning of production, once we'd cast everyone, I had a big meeting with you and all the other actors, and I said, can you guys tell me how you'd like to be directed? And I brought a notepad and I wrote down everyone's do's and don'ts, and do you like to see the monitor? Do you not want to see the monitor? Do you want backstory? How do you feel about rehearsal? Too much rehearsal? Okay. Do you want a private place before we head into it, or are you happy being on set, interacting with the crew? Just everything that I could. And it was the big thing that I want to get across in this is the rehearsal was not even just purely rehearsal. It was, okay, how am I going to learn to be the best director that I can be for this film in the months that I have? And I think it turned out okay, I'd like to think.
I also think with rehearsals as well, like it's important for, say, your film with like the one-ers and stuff, that we got that sort of idea down, the blocking down, and any big scenes and projects, like that's always good to rehearse or at least talk about, because I know a lot of people don't like rehearsals. But in like a lot of smaller scenes and stuff like that, I don't think you need to rehearse like a whole film start to finish. Like that can be a bit tedious, and like you've got to come in as an actor like prepared as well. So you should be confident in yourself. That's why you've been cast in a project, because you should come in prepared. But I think there comes like a time and a place where rehearsals do come in handy, which Attraction was one of them.
Absolutely. And there's things, I knew that there were things like stage plays where obviously rehearsal is everything, and they rehearse the hell out of it, and that works. So I thought, okay, well, it's not a definite thing that actors get burnt out during rehearsals, and I need to prepare and I need to learn how to work with these actors. So it was just for a million reasons, rehearsal was the best way to go for this project.
Joel, did you ever feel burnt out after so many rehearsals?
I think maybe a little bit towards the end of it. I don't know if I was burnt out, but I knew that we were sort of getting to a place, and I didn't know if we sort of needed to, because the way we did that was it the first one or like one or two with the group of us, and then you were sort of getting in like me with Sky, me with Vivian, me with Angela. Yeah. And I think like some of the stuff, I felt like I was in a good place because we'd worked on it so much even without them. Yeah. And then when they'd come in, I'd be like already, at a decent place. But that was like totally fine. I wasn't burnt out by it, but I was sort of in a place where I was like pretty comfortable with getting onto set and then, giving more. I also find it, for me, it's really weird. I don't know if it's a self-conscious thing, but I but I find it hard to rehearse full out and like get to the place, because I myself feel self-conscious that I won't be able to get to the place again. So I always hold back a little bit, which is, I don't know if that's a flaw for me or whatnot, but do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always sort of dial it back and know that I can go the extra bit if I need to.
Yeah, it was one thing that I was a little bit concerned about, not because I was seeing things in the rehearsal where I was going, oh shoot, like Joel's burning out here. Like I knew that we'd had talks about the fact that we're not going to go all the way yet, because obviously you had scenes with 3 different actors, and for every 1 rehearsal a week for them, it was 3 for you, because you might have been ready, but maybe someone else in the scene wasn't, and we had to rehearse, and I knew that everyone has to be there, so at building one you risk burning out the other, so trying to balance that was.
In the end of the day, I think you did a fine job. Like,
I'm glad. It was the first attempt. Yeah.
And last.
Yeah. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah. No, we've done stuff since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joel, you said before rehearsing with the other actors, you already had like a decent idea of what you were going to go in and do. So did you two have like one-on-one conversations or even one-on-one rehearsals previous to going in to rehearsals with other actors? Like, did you two meet up and like talk the script through, like one-on-one?
I think we did. I'm pretty sure.
I think we did as well.
We definitely had some in the group.
Sure.
For sure. Like we had a couple of group meetings, and before rehearsals as well. I always it's also because where we rehearsed, it's difficult to find different rooms where we were rehearsing.
Sure.
But also, an easy meeting point in the venue is the university cafe. And I like that because obviously it's easy to find. And then secondly, I can sit and chat with the actors. It's an excuse for, hey, we'll just meet here. We can have a coffee. Yeah. We can talk about things before we head in. And then when we're all caught up, then we can move in.
I remember rocking up to that cafe, and every time you were in your Nike jumper.
The orange one.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I never took that thing off.
So what did you two actually discuss about the script? Like, what does that conversation look like?
Definitely backstory, because I know we had that like I took the charge on writing up the document, but I also remember I took some ideas from you for Will. So we had discussions about where Will is in the few weeks before, and then very basic things about his earlier life.
Gotcha.
And there was some stuff about like the relationships with like different characters. So like my girlfriend in the film, my father, and then my mother, the different relationships, and it is like there's some complicated relationships in there. So it's good to get to sort of like an idea of why those relationships are like that, or why he acts the way he acts. I remember that was a lot of things, like you were explaining like why he reacts like he does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went through sort of like character motivation, was like, oh yeah, so he's having this reaction because of this.
Yeah, and then, he is the context.
And he's the context, right. And were you like sort of listening to Isaac, taking his ideas, bringing those into your performance, or did you have like when you read the script you were like, oh, he's acting this way because of this, and then did you guys compare notes?
Bit of both, but like I said before, I like to sort of get an idea of what I want, but sort of keep it pretty blank, like ready to hear what you've got to say, and then if he doesn't have anything, then I can work from there. I think I would like, if I remember correctly, we're sort of, how do you feel about this? Oh, I think this, and we're sort of discussing between ourselves of like of things to get to a place where we both like mutually agree, which didn't often take long as me in the middle,
Absolutely, yeah. It was a pretty, for what it's worth, like it was a really, I was very lucky that I had you on the production for my first
stuff.
for my first short film that I was directing, because just figuring things out, you're obviously like very patient, but also just happy to collaborate, to put it as plainly as possible. Have our ideas, like discuss why, and then
that was the first and only group of film slate that I've done. And it was good coming on because you were so like motivated, and you as well, like everyone on the film was just very keen to and very like on board and so motivated to do the best thing possible, and that was like good coming on. A lot of like, I don't want to bag student films, but a lot of student films you can go on and they're unprepared and they're very early and very green, but you guys being like third year and whatnot and going to your final films, you were so like motivated to make it the best thing possible, and that was something very like comforting, knowing that you're going onto a set where everyone's keen to do the best thing that they can. That was good.
Absolutely. And it's it's cool because it's like our discussions with each other about the character. It feels odd saying this because I was thinking about what I was going to say, and I was going to say, obviously I was learning how to be a director, and then I realized I'm always going to be learning how to be a director with whatever cast it is. But just figuring out what that was with Joel. It was just, I felt like I was growing as a director throughout with every conversation that we were having, because we were encountering problems and going, okay, maybe I don't know if he gets to this point in the conversation through this. Maybe that's not the thing that they're talking about. Maybe he's trying to get at something else, but it's not on the page and it's not coming out. So that helped me as a writer, and then just figuring out, because Joel's just great, man. Like, I don't know how to... Honestly, it's nuts. Like, just first script that I've written in this sort of detail with this sort of care, and then seeing that in Joel's mind, very luckily, it translates to Will being an actual person, which I'd never experienced. And I was confident that I could pull it off, but, seeing it happen was like crazy to me, because it's like, I think we did pull it off.
Right.
And then we pulled it off quicker than I thought. And then we improved on it. And it's Joel. Like I was figuring it out, man. I'm a first time director. I did my best, but you're only as great as like the sum of your parts. And I had some fucking good parts, man.
You said you were like happy with takes that Joel's like there were more than one printable take, and like you're quite happy with like
totally yeah way less. Obviously every actor has their way to get to the print take, and sometimes to build momentum you take a longer time than others, and all of it, like I was very lucky to work with the other actors on the film, but Joel, just us working within a schedule, trying to complete camera movements that we hadn't tried before, that we weren't sure. We thought they would work, but you just don't know when it's risky. To have Joel be good, a few takes in, and then have us get to the point where we can even try things because we've already got the print.
Do you guys remember the scene in the house? And
The conversation between you and your mum?
yeah, and I brought a copy of Dad's book. I bought a copy of Dad's book.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
I do remember
and
that.
oh my god, that was like, I felt like that was like 30 takes. I don't know what was.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I remember
That was
too.
I wanted
It's
to
like
leave.
it's like the only. It's the only thing. It's the only line where it was like more than not much takes.
Yeah, it was
you
funny
know?
too, to be fair.
Yeah,
it was not funny. It was distressing.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
It was. I bought a copy, right?
Yeah,
Or-
it was because he purchased it.
Yeah.
I bought a copy of that.
That was great.
Book, yeah.
Did you guys rehearse that scene?
Yeah.
You did?
We rehearsed every single
Oh,
time.
okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you finally got to production and onto set, did you feel as though, because obviously rehearsals and set are very different things, did you feel a lot more comfortable actually on set in the scene because of rehearsals?
I definitely think so. I think also going into a film, like say if it was just a audition process with you, the two of you, and then like I was lucky enough to book it, and then getting to set, if it was just skipping the rehearsal stage and coming on, I don't really know you guys too well, I only met you guys at the audition or whatnot, and we had like a brief conversation, and then it's that whole thing, if we didn't do all the backstory and discussing it, then I might be coming in with like a complete different vision than what you wanted.
Yeah.
We're going through like the audition process, then the rehearsals, and working with you, and then working with the other actors and getting to a good place. I felt so much more comfortable getting onto set, and like, yeah, I think we're on like a good spot right now, and whatnot. I just felt like a lot more comfortable, which then makes the acting and everything just a lot easier. Was it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, on the day, if we needed to, you know, if the scene was heading in a direction and I wanted to maybe shift the direction of the scene a little bit, knowing that we had things like the backstory and all of that research that we did on Joel's character, on Sky's character, on Vivian's character, on Angela's character, there were reference points for me to explain things that I could get across to them quicker than, you know, trying to explain a feeling. I could go, you know how we talked about this period in this character's life? This is kind of doing this at this point. So I could get to that.
That's really smart.
Far quicker, you know, and I knew that I was going to have 1 million thoughts on the day, maybe 2 million because stress. So it was great because it wasn't just, you know, about doing all the rehearsals and then, oh, let's get it first take. It's like, no, we're going to build it a little bit, but now we have these things that we can use to like steer the performance.
It's crazy that you say that you were stressed, because you're always just so like calm and zen.
Oh yeah, that's stress, man. If I get quiet, because I don't know, I can yabber on a bit. If I'm quiet, man, I'm not doing alright.
And you can't let your actors know you're stressed.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, because you guys you've got that big metal box looking right at you.
Scary times.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're juggling enough.
That was my first like leading role as well in a short film.
There you go.
Pretty fun to go into.
You did bloody well.
Had you done a bunch of shorts before that?
Not too many. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I've done like a couple of little like small things and whatnot before that, but that was my first 10 minutes or so. It's like you said, being in every scene. But I've done like other things. And I'd done like that small role on like a feature film and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
But for a lead and to be there every day and whatnot, that was my first one. Yeah, it was good.
Did you like being there every day?
I did, yeah. Yeah. And I did enjoy the rehearsals and stuff coming up, and it's not just the story, but building the relationships with the other actors as well. Angela playing my mum, Sky playing my girlfriend. Like, you got to have some form of relationship. You want it to look somewhat realistic.
Right. 'Cause
Yeah.
You've known these people for a long time.
Yeah.
Before the movie starts.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it different for you shooting, like, let's say a shot reverse shot conversation scene and then going into having to shoot a one-er? Is that different to you? Like, do you approach that differently at all?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because you're still like acting with someone.
Yep.
And to get someone's best performance out, you don't want to be holding back because the shot's not on you. You know what I mean? So I think it's the same. Obviously, it can be longer, and it's it gets more stressful because you don't want to stuff it up. Then it's got to be reset the whole take. And were they like minute takes and things like that?
In the oneers, there's one that it's like 3.5 minutes. I think is the longest one.
Yeah, 3.5 minute take. Like that can be sort of stressful to get out. But then again, I do a lot of training in class where we have 3.5 minute scenes where obviously you consistently do it the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's not too different.
Right.
It can be blocking where the camera's going because we had moving shots with the pillow and things like that. It's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, when you were shooting those shot reverses as well, you were running the whole scene a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we had halfway through the scene, we had a line cross.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the kind of separation point, because obviously we couldn't run the whole scene from both sides of the line.
Yes.
So we would run first half, and we put the line cross in there when I felt, and when the actors felt that there was a real shift in the dynamic of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So playing the takes out from the before that shift in the tone and after the shift in the tone, we felt worked fairly well, because it was you could stay on that kind of wavelength. It wasn't like starting at a conversational base, getting to an angrier place, and then having to go back to conversational on the next take.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say that I planned that, but that just worked out well on the day.
Right.
I think. It's just things in hindsight that I'm noticing. I was very lucky on.
Sure.
Yeah, happy accidents.
And you didn't break the takes up too much anyhow, so it was like you weren't doing like medium shot, close up, ultra close, and like asking the actors to like, I'll just do this many lines from this part a lot of the time. It was pretty, so what my point I'm making is that like the ones that you were running, like that's 3 minutes of uninterrupted performance, but you were doing other bits of the film that weren't ones where you would be acting for like 2 minutes long. 2 minutes long. You weren't just like 30 seconds on for this number of lines and then, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Obviously during the production, as a director, I'm juggling things like, lighting, just making sure the cinematography, my DOP, Angus Williams, was doing the things that we'd talked about, or if he was trying something, I was aware of it and okay with it.
Yeah.
Talking to prod design, having them prepared, and just making sure that we're still on the same page as we had been in earlier meetings, and obviously checking in on sound, because that's huge, making sure that we had a thing in some of the White Room dream sequences. We had some dry ice, and a thing that was happening was there were just, obviously you just fix problems as you get them, but something that you just don't think of with dry ice is when you walk on the particular surface of the floor that we had, which I think was nylon or something like that. When you have dry ice on the floor, there's a squeak, and it can interrupt lines, it can ruin things like that. So we had to, I think, do you remember this? There was a particular way you guys were walking.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think I remember.
No.
Maybe I don't know how all I remember is that when we got the take, the squeak was gone. Right. And I don't know if we used less dry ice.
Yeah.
Got people to walk.
Maybe we were in socks.
Maybe,
I think we took our shoes off.
I think you were in socks during those scenes.
Yeah, because we had one part of the shot where you and Viv, who plays your father, are sitting down at a chair and we can see your feet. So I knew that we couldn't.
That was at the bus stop.
Socks. It was the first part, the dream, because you guys both sat on the chairs, and we came wide because you both pointed and looked to. Won't go into it too much, but there's a painting in the room that you guys were looking at. But in other scenes, because the framing was here and it was a mid, I think we did put you guys in socks, and that was to fix the huge squeaking problem. But the point I'm building up to with this is, there was a lot of things that I was trying to figure out, and obviously it's stressful because I care about the film and I want it to be as good as I can. But I don't know. I tried my best. I don't know how successful I was. I think I'm pretty transparent sometimes when things are stressing me out, just to not stress you guys out.
No, it was super successful. You always made sure that we're in the best place possible and never made us stressed. You always seemed calm as well, which is good.
That's great. That's really lucky.
No, it's good.
Filmmaking is probably about 85% putting out fires when they come, but the hard part about that is you're trying to not show everyone that there's fires around,
Yeah,
because then they'll freak out.
absolutely. And I guess, well, because you're, as the producer, you're like the bird's eye view on the whole thing. So you've got to be Mr. Cool for everyone. What's that like?
It's kind of like being Mr. Freeze and Batman, trying to cool everybody down,
Yeah, in the best Batman.
The best Batman and Robin are the best one. It usually starts pretty good, but the further along production gets, you kind of realize that there are a lot of things you did not take into account, because you can't take everything into account, like dry ice on nylon.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that it squeaks?
Yeah.
Nobody knew that.
Yeah.
But honestly, on production, most of my time is spent having people come to me with a problem and then trying to figure it out. Like when we were shooting the scene where you're talking with the mother at the beginning, I feel like I can say this. There was a problem where our DOP was shooting in like 4K or 8K or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then our editor was telling us that there's not enough space on the hard drives to keep up with the 8K.
Yeah.
But the DOP didn't want to stop shooting 8K, so I had to step in and try to balance out the amount of hard drive space we have and the quality of the camera.
Yeah.
And that nearly caused a problem.
Yeah.
That nearly caused a problem.
That happened midway through the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right at the halfway point in the night.
I could not go out and just buy another hard drive. Everything was closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course there was that day where a literal fire happened in the soundstage. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of the time is just spent making sure that things go to plan, fires get put out, and the production runs smoothly without actors getting stressed.
He's the silent protector, a watchful guardian.
I mean,
Jackson.
It's all about communication. I was having weekly meetings with all of the heads of departments to make sure everything's still on track, and then the heads of departments will have meetings with everybody else in their department to make sure everything's on track. So all of the information just kind of trickles down from the top all the way to the bottom. And my job is just to make sure that the communication is correct everywhere. And I think it was for the most part. Except when it comes to 8K and hard drives.
Yeah. We had a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many meetings, but that's how it gets done.
That's it. It's another thing. Like I was just, obviously we have Joel, who's just very careful with his performance. Noah, like as continuity, just helping me figure out things about the script or logistical errors within the script that, the things that like could sink the film logically.
Yeah. Joel helping me do continuity.
Yeah. Everyone. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well,
you
there was just like, you have to go through and like reset things before the next take or whatever. I sort of had not the best continuity setup, I would say, because the monitor was sort of during this kitchen scene on a thing, and so I had like
on the other side of the room,
all my notes and stuff sprawled out across like a folder in front of me. And when you do conti, you have to have like 4 pieces of paper in front of you to be like, okay, here's the script, here's this piece of paper to do this thing, here's this thing, and it's just like after every take I had to get up and rearrange the thing, and you were like, dude, I'll just do it, don't worry about it. But I'm like,
I can't like stand it when fucking actors are like, I'm here to act.
Yeah.
Fucking just put your cup back on the fucking like what?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like who the fuck are you, man?
I've had
out.
actors like that for real. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my mates is on a production. He was just on a production, and then 3 of the lead actors were all helping out, and like it was on an island, so they were all like helping out move gear and stuff. And apparently, there's this one actor that was just like wouldn't touch anything. It's like you can. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
speeds everything up. It's helpful.
I don't feel like my character would do that. I mean, in method.
Oh my god!
He's not a very empathetic guy.
Yeah.
Your character's an asshole.
Yeah, right. You're crushing it, bro.
Yeah. You method? What?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I like to sort of help out if I can.
Yeah. You were great consistently all the time. It was like you were like a member of crew, even though you were an actor in such a way, which is sort of like my favorite type of actors. But it's just like that thing where you were like after every take, coming to split, talking to me and Isaac about the previous take, and like he would direct you whatever it is, and like there was like maybe once where I like pulled you up on a line, like, oh, you gotta add this bit.
Yeah, it annoyed me, eh?
Yeah, but that was all it was.
Kidding, by the way.
that was all it was, really. But it was very like, and even like on, I forget which day it was. Like Joel and I were just sitting up against the wall, and we hadn't like talked to each other at all. He's just like, we started talking about writing for like 20 minutes or whatever, and then you were just like, which was great because a lot of actors would just like completely separate themselves from crew, and it's like, yeah, but it was great because you were just like, yeah, cool, and we just had like a conversation, which was great because then I felt like more comfortable pulling you up on things if I had to pull you up on things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. But you're just that sort of actor where you're just like, yeah, I'll fit in the group and talk to people and do all that.
I'd rather. I want to be feeling as comfortable as I can in a space. So
yeah.
So I find that doing that is to sort of meet everyone, and you can't, at least on a short production like that, you can't get on a great level with everyone, or you find it hard to, because you do have to take time to like, you know, think about what's going to be happening and what you're filming today, and then our discussions would take up time. But you know, where you can, I'd rather chat to you guys and help set up or move things around or help where I can. I don't like being uncomfortable and alone on set.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm trying to think of like stories from set that were like interesting from production. But the problem with trying to think of stories like that is like, this thing ran, like I've worked on a lot of short films, and this thing ran remarkably smoothly.
Prod department had to paint the fence of the guy whose house was behind the bus stop.
Yeah,
that's fucking hilarious.
Unreal.
What?
They painted
they painted his fence.
They painted the fence of the property.
Yeah.
They ask him?
Yeah. Of course.
No, yeah.
But they painted it because it was just really, really dingy, and it just didn't look nice. It gave like a little bit of like structure especially to the master, the front on frame, because there's this nice picket horizontal line through, which is really cool.
They do like the whole thing, or did they just do like this section that you see?
The section, dude. They did, because it was a big farm property. Yes, they couldn't, but he was happy with us.
He was so chill. I think he was planning on painting the fence anyway, so it's like slightly less work for him to do.
Yeah, that was largely Roman as well. We weren't sure where to shoot around this area that Gus recommended, and Roman just unprompted walked over to, we saw that a section of this street looked like it could be really nice, and Gus and I really liked it, but we went, oh, that's kind of right in front of that guy's, that's like almost on his front yard, and we're gonna have to come here early in the morning because that's when he's catching the bus, and I don't know if he wants a film crew out on his front yard, on his front street, you know, first thing in the morning, just a bunch of randoms. And Roman just went, oh, we'll check. And she just knocked on the door, chatted to him, and she came back, she was like, yeah, he's cool with it. And we went, great, let's do it.
I think the reason the production ran so smoothly was because of Roman.
Yeah.
First AD, she fucking killed it.
Actually.
Yeah.
When we were unlucky and we had the fire happen, when we say the fire, it was one. we were given a bunch of equipment. Sometimes equipment gets mixed around. We had a piece of diffusion paper, so white paper to spread out the light off of the stage lights. And the paper's one piece of paper was not proper diffusion, so it caught fire because it's not a material that's able to withstand heat.
It wasn't heat resistant. It wasn't treated heat resistant.
It was like baking paper that someone had returned because maybe they lost some diff paper.
So they just
and that ended up in our batch.
Yeah.
And so we had a light on fire on the ceiling, and we went, well, would you look at that? Light on fire on the ceiling, and Roman's, everyone spread out. I'll call this. You stay over there. Everyone stay out of the.
Yeah, she handled that whole thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she did. I remember the what was it, role Dean?
Head of
film school.
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah, came in and was like, "What's going on here? Why the fuck is there a fire?" And then Roman just pretty much went up to him and told him exactly what she did, which is the exact process we need to do. Called security. I think she stopped the alarm before it automatically called the fire ambulance.
Yeah, which you have a fine if they have to come out. And that's no problem.
And I ain't paying that fine, man.
Yeah,
we didn't put that fine in the budget, so that would have been fucked.
Yeah, it's a big fine too. I remember somebody from the gear department, like coming up, looking through the kit, like being so mad, being like fuming, and like taking the kit, I think, back down to like see who checked it in previously. Yeah, they were really mad because they go through everything down there to like make sure that everything's returned correctly.
Yeah.
And because diffusion paper looks pretty much exactly like baking powder, it's just one of those things where it's like you would never know. It's just like, oh yeah, paper, of course, right?
And the only like explanation for that is someone's lost some diffusion paper.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay the gear rental, like something out of their bond, so they've literally just put baking paper in.
It was just like the one like thing that showed it apart was the oil stains from the cookies. That were pretty sick.
There were these little like oil-shaped love hearts.
Yeah.
Just
it
in rows of
really
3.
nice. It smelled buttery.
When the fire happened, I wonder who was cooking. I wonder who was baking it.
Yeah, catering is going to be good today. Yeah.
Dean's like, what happened? You guys don't know who was baking?
Yeah. It's like,
one of my like least favorite things of attraction was
let's go.
No, it's not like a bad thing, but it was the
It's like one of my
top 5.
Yeah, one of them. No, like my top like thing I didn't like about not like about this is getting worse. My like least favorite thing about it was when we were doing the scene at the dinner table. I think it was for the end of the film, or maybe
I know.
I don't think you do know it. It was just the pasta, bro. The pasta was just like all cold.
Yeah.
And it was like, bro, and it was like, we didn't get another jar of pasta sauce or something like that. So it was like, I can't remember if it was old or it was like diluted, and it was like just fucking pasta sauce just like slopped on. And then we're doing obviously we're doing multiple takes, and so every take I'd grab like the salt and pepper and I'd be like, yummy pasta. I was like, apart from that, it was smooth sailing.
Usually the good stories from production come from things that went wrong or that you had to like adapt to. The problem was that this was relatively well organized overall, really. Like
can we ask Joel if he thinks Cat in the Hat's good or not?
That's a great
like a guest question.
Yeah.
So have you seen Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers?
Have I seen
Cat in the Hat? Okay, cool. Okay, everybody's seen this movie. What do you think of that movie?
Is it good or bad?
Cat in the Hat?
Yeah.
Is a childhood classic.
That's it.
Facts.
That's it.
Agreed. There was a correct answer, by the way, and you said it, so that's good. We
That's
don't have to kick you out now. Yeah.
Well, I'll fight you to stay if I have to.
You passed.
Oh yeah.
We found this out, I think, at some point during uni.
Yeah.
That Chivo, Emmanuel Lubetsky, who does all of Iñárritu's movies, like The Revenant and all that sort of stuff, he shot that movie. He was DOP.
He shot the Cat in the Hat.
But you didn't know this. Yeah, he shot that
movie.
movie.
He also shot Children of Men, Burn After Reading.
It's crazy how you'd peak so low. so early on.
Yeah, that's it. You have to start somewhere, you know, and then eventually you get to the point where you make Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Once you have to get through the Children of Men's, the Birdman's, you know, you have to pay your dues, you know, on those on those films, you know, and maybe, you know, sometimes they don't always turn out so well, like Birdman.
A question that I always ask on podcasts as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Wayne's World?
Wayne's World. I haven't seen Wayne's World. I'm sorry.
I've not seen Wayne's
World.
World.
Seen it.
I like Wayne's World. I think it's funny.
You too?
Yeah. See you lads. Have a good one.
I think Wayne's World's good.
It's also Mike Myers, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
sure. I'm gonna get it.
At some point, double podcast episode, double feature. We watch Cat in the Hat and Wayne's World and compare and contrast.
Yes.
Discuss the filmmaking behind them.
Yeah, we can do it. We should do a Mike Myers series, and then we can do a Chivo series. Well, actually, I don't know how that would work. We'd have to watch Cat in the Hat twice.
And all the Shrek movies.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how that would work.
Oh, Joel, so
Yes.
we've, you know, obviously Flesh and Ivory's finished. How do you feel about it now? Because we shot it in early 2019. How do you feel looking back on it?
As in the experience?
Yeah, just however you feel about it.
Just tell Isaac.
Be honest.
Isaac's just asking you to tell him how great he was and how much fun he had on the production.
It's
he just
needs to be humble.
Just an ego stroke. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically what we're asking for. Yeah.
Well, you do like your classes and stuff like that, and a lot of them say, do your short films and stuff. It's a good way to get footage. Now, in saying that, they say don't rely on it because you don't often get it. Now, it's been 3 years. And I'm still hanging out with you guys just so I can just see where this is going. Like,
that's so bad. No, but that's so bad. You know, fuck it, you ask. I'm not fucking asking because that's like, yeah, Joel, tell me how fucking great it was. It went so great, didn't it?
I'll try and weave
so
this
good
in a way that isn't like really okay.
I realized that midway through my sentence. Yeah. I was like, fuck, what is he going to say? It could have been better.
It's been a while since we shot it. Right. And most of that is because it's an absolute headache to try and get any movie distributed at all. Because, especially if it's a short, like sure you can enter into a bunch of festivals if you're so lucky to actually make it in. But
which we've done. We've applied.
Yeah. But sort of after your short has its festival run, it's sort of over. Like shorts don't really have too much of a life after a festival run, you know. So once it does that, you can use your short to like make a feature out of the short, or like try and find some funding, or try and, you know, maybe somebody in the audience approaches you, something like that, which happens really, really rarely. But Flesh Ivory has a chance now, which is good, at actually like going somewhere and doing something like this.
Yeah, we had someone who is a lot more experienced in the industry than us, instill a lot of confidence in us and the film late last year. So we decided that we were going to give it another push for the festival circuit.
But it's been a while now, so it's a strange question to sort of ask you, you know, because it's like, well, you've done a bunch of movies since this, right? But like, so this was your first film as a lead? As a lead.
Yeah.
So you sort of, and you're in every single scene in the film. What is that like? Not what is that like? What was it like specifically for this film?
It's gonna sound super fucking douchebaggy, but in my opinion, like, no matter if you're a lead or a supporting or a one role thing, that each part in the movie, just like each crew member of a movie, you're all there to make it happen and do the best job possible. So being a lead, it was like such a great experience because that was my first one. It's a lot more responsibility to make sure you do a good job and learn your lines and blah blah. But in my opinion, it's no different to say a one scene role I've done in an indie feature before, or a funded feature film. You know what I mean? So I find that was such a good experience to know that I can do it, and it makes me motivated. And I'm so glad I've met like you guys on it, because we've worked together again after that. So yes, that has not answered the question.
No, I think it's a good answer.
That's how you feel.
I feel like I'm so grateful to have done that, because I knew that because it made me know that I was capable to do it.
Right.
And then since then, I've been more confident, and I learned more my process as well on that, because that was a bigger production for me at the time. And then since there, I've been able to like know where I want to, how I want to approach a role, how much rehearsals I want to do, the backstory, all that sort of stuff, and that's led me to sort of come to my way of, what's that word? My process.
Yeah.
My process. Yes.
So you feel like now, however many years later, your process is more, you've worked it out more for yourself?
I think for sure, yeah. It's always ever changing. Like you learn more, you learn different things, and then that works for me, that doesn't work for me, or that sort of doesn't work for me anymore. Like things I may have done on Flesh Ivory may not work for me now, but I think we're all changing and growing and learning and stuff like that, so you're always changing. But I love where I started on Flesh Ivory.
Cool.
Yeah, great answer.
We'll get into this more transitions. Here we go. If Joel Stowe decides that he wants to come back and we do some more episodes with him, we can talk to him more about your acting process, like specifically, and how you go about roles and stuff. Because you could tell us about like how you got into acting and how your process has changed and what you like out of directors You can speak any grievances that you've had, or tell us some cool stories about
about
things.
any directors.
Yeah, just
Any of them.
air them all out.
Any
No,
of them.
just a joke.
Any?
Anything. Oh, wow. Anything.
Anything.
We should cut to
Come
Hang
full
in There,
circle.
Baby on the videos.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can make cupcakes out of literally anything.
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 Listen, I'll get you. I'll make it look like a bloody accident.
Cat. Your tail.
Comes back.
What about my
Comes out
tail?
with his bow right
Oh, yeah.
his tail.
I see. I've chopped it off. Well, that's his son of a bitch.
Watch me take the Cat in the Hat scene and then just dub.
That, I guarantee you that's fucking close
Yeah.
to what it is.
Okay.
I know this shit.
Are we wrapping up?
Is that a wrap? Do you want to do an outro?
No, yeah, let's just say thank you very much, Joel, for coming on the podcast, for telling us all the stories about Flesh and Ivory and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we hope to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and
No worries.
hopefully you get some good stuff out of it, and you do want me back.
We'll deliberate afterwards.
Yeah,
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
it's, yeah.
We can go over
Just
that
get your
at a later
people,
date.
talk to my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. And in the next episode, we'll be talking about Attraction / Flesh and Ivory's post-production process.
Yes.
So tune in for that. That's editing, sound design, and distribution. Now that we're in that phase.
And we'll have the film's editor here, Calvin.
Yep.
And we'll have our friend Angus here to talk about his work on the sound of it after, like, beyond post-production, shall we say.
Well put.
Yeah.
Post production.
Yeah, in post-production. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get outros.
Alrighty. Every time.
Rip it, baby.
Suck and blow, mate.
Okay, try again.
What the fuck is that?
And try again and drop.
That
it
was
off
that was
the
a Yoko Ono. What is it? The Trump, the Chuck Berry set. Anyway. What a fucking weird deep cut.
Yeah, that was better.
I'm glad you think so.
I don't play the harmonica, guys.
Okay.
I do other things.
It felt very anticlimactic. But we're gonna live with that. All right, bye everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.
Adios.
You're done.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.